So then how long were
Had
you
like,
in, how long were you in the UK for before you moved to your
um,
parents moved your family to the US?
I think we moved when I was 10.
Uh,
Approximately, I was 10 years old. So pretty early enough for me to lose my accent mostly because, you know, when you're a kid and you want to fit in, and I was that weird British kid with the accent, so I lost that within like a year or maybe even
no,
less.
you didn't lose
Do I
it.
sound
You still
British
have
now?
it. Yeah, a
It
little
came back.
bit.
I tell you,
Yeah.
it came back when I came back to Europe and when I was
Yeah.
playing with the national team. And like, I swear I'm like a chameleon when it comes to accents. If I go home
Yeah.
for too long, if I go back to the States for too long, I sound American. If I go to Australia, I'm like, "G'day, mate." I don't
People
know
don't
what it
know
is.
if you know, with being a professional volleyball player and traveling around and living in different areas, it's kind of a necessity to be able to pick up on accents really well, because
Yeah.
you're not going to know the language, but at least you can kind of speak like them so they can understand you a little bit better. At least that's what I found.
Yeah. And do you feel like you dumb down your English a little bit as well?
Oh,
I feel
totally.
when I would
Totally.
spend an entire season playing pro and then I would go back home and be like, what's the word? Oh, yeah, fork. That's the
Yeah.
one. Like, you know, like you just completely lose your language skills because you're really trying to speak on a really basic level so you can
Right.
communicate and have friends from everywhere, basically.
So true.
But
So
yeah,
then so
other
you weren't into
joys.
sports. When did you finally pick up volleyball?
I was 15,
Hmm.
I think. Basically, my parents had to they were working, so we were in school. After school there's like a chunk of time, like 2 hours, you can either sit in the library and wait for your parents to come pick you up, or you could do a sport. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do cheerleading. That sounds like a good idea. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I
How
only
tall were you
lasted the
at
trial like the
15?
one day.
Oh
Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, when did you have your growth spurt? Because
I don't
you're pretty tall,
know. I
right?
don't know. I'm super tall, yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't remember when it happened. I remember always being tall. I
Oh,
don't remember
okay.
having one jump. I think I was always, and my friend, just like typically, my friend was always the shortest. My best friend was always the shortest in the class. So people thought that was hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm so glad I chose volleyball over cheerleading. Could you
Yeah,
imagine? I wouldn't have
that'd have
gone very
been
far.
tough. That'd have been
I
tough if
would
you'd have
not have
stick with
gone far.
cheerleading. That's funny.
Yeah.
I grew 9 inches within 2 years. So that was, I
Yeah.
obviously had an identified growth spurt. You know, my freshman year of high school, I was 5'10", and by my junior year of high school, I was 6'7". So
I
like,
I was listening to one of your recent podcasts and you were saying that your brother played volleyball. He got you into it, and then you had
yeah,
this growth spurt, and then you were like, whoop, all of
yeah,
a sudden it wasn't a competition anymore.
yeah. That's so true. It's funny.
Did you feel like extra gangly, or did you have trouble with coordination? Because I feel like that is something that could
Yeah, you
come up with
know,
that quick
people
spurt.
ask me that a lot, and I try to think back on that time, and funny enough, I don't remember feeling uncoordinated at
No.
all. Actually, I had a really good athletic base. Like, I was a kind of
Yeah.
I was a really athletic, kind of outdoorsy, active kid, and so as I
Yeah.
grew, I didn't feel like it. I mean, if I could say anything, it just helped me become better, because it's, volleyball becomes easier and easier as you get taller and taller. And if
Yeah.
you can manage the athletic part of it and continue to develop quickness and, do some plyometrics and get your jump under you and have a good arm swing, which I did,
Yeah.
I just started getting better and better. My level just started increasing because of my height increasing, which was kind of nice. So,
Yeah, and plus it's not like it happens overnight. Like 2 years is actually
right.
kind of a long time if you think about, you're playing volleyball every day and you're just getting slightly better every day. You're adjusting to that millicentimeter like,
Right.
of height
That's so
every
true.
day. Yeah.
So, you grew up in Florida. When you got
Mm.
into volleyball, did you latch onto it pretty quickly? You're like, oh, like, this is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this. This is something that I could see myself continuing to do.
I don't know. I think it kind of snuck up on me because I don't remember being very good. Like, I was really uncoordinated, which some of my teammates will tell you has not left, even now after being playing pro for 10 years. Um, it's one of those things, like, I think you start doing something and then it becomes your kind of your identity, your sort of your personality. It's like, oh, I'm a volleyball player. I go to volleyball training. I'm working towards a volleyball scholarship. I'm after volleyball scholarship. I want to go play pro. It almost
Yeah.
like became just the things just progressed. It wasn't that I was like, I'm so obsessed with volleyball, I have to play it all the time. It just became like, you know, you do your math homework, you do your science homework, you go to volleyball training, and then I just kept on going and then just never stopped, as it turns out.
Jeez.
It's actually so funny because I think back now on some of my teammates, you know, and they've totally moved on. I'm much beyond the age that most people are still playing. And I've, you know, most of my teammates now are, you know, family people, moms, real jobs. And it's just bizarre that I'm still doing it after so many years. How long did you play? When did you retire?
So I retired right at the start of 2012. And so I was actually really close to going to London as well. But, you know, by that time I had a pretty significant ankle injury. Like I was getting older. And once I didn't
how
make
old
the
were you
team, when I retired?
Yeah, when you hung up the knee pads.
Let's see, I was 35.
Okay.
Ish.
That's not even that late, I feel like, for men.
Yeah. You know, the game's changed quite a bit now. You know, I was a little bit on the front end of, it wasn't even rally scoring, it was side out scoring when I was in college. And so, you know, we'd have 3.5 hour matches. And you know, it takes a toll on your body even. And you know, I think the game has changed a little bit. Guys can maybe go a little bit longer now, and gals can go a little longer now, just because it's so quick. And then also a lot of times now, like when you're done indoors, you see a lot of guys or girls just immediately transfer over to the beach, because you know, the shelf life for a professional player on the beach is so much higher because of how much more forgiving the sand is on the body. And if you're not willing to like hang it up from a volleyball standpoint, you can just go try your luck on the beach and go enjoy that lifestyle a little bit. You know how it is too, like playing overseas every year is a grind as well. And so you just, you know, there's not a lot of downtime. And when you do that for almost 15 years, you get to a point where you're like, okay, like I've had enough fun. It's time to do something different. So that's where I was at.
I also wonder if people now are just smarter about recovery and prehab, rehab, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, I don't want to say back in the day, but when you were, you know, in your, let's say, prime days, were guys just showing up in the gym, throwing on their shoes, playing, and then going home? Or were they like actually focusing on that?
I think you're right though. No, I think you're onto something. I mean, technology has changed. The way we look at recovery has changed. It's definitely not the same today as it was back when I was playing, especially in my early on years. It was kind of the old school way of thinking, right? You come to the gym, maybe a little bit before, you make sure you get nice and sweaty, and then you get going, you practice super hard, then you go home. You know, as I got later and a little older, I got a little wiser, spent more and more time in the training room, like trying to get myself prepared physically to continue to grind. But I think there's just, like, I have one of those Theraguns, you know, the blasting guns. Like I was thinking, man, I wish I would have had one of these when I was playing, because it, you know, probably could have given you another year or two. They work so well.
Yeah. And I've noticed, like, going on this trip visiting players, like maybe not almost, but let's say like 50% of the girls have some kind of recovery, whether it's like Normatec boots or a Theragun or a vibrating roller, and at every level. I'm not talking about just, you know, Italy A1, but the girls that are like grinding it out in, you know, second division in Switzerland or something also have this recovery gear. And I kind of thinking, like, that's definitely a mindset change, you know, especially even if you're not even fully pro, you realize that, okay, the body needs to be taken care of. Like, that's I've been impressed.
Totally. Tell me a little bit around some of the places that you played professionally after, you know, you finished with your education.
I played at University of Miami, and then I quit for a couple of years. I wanted to go traveling, and I was like, I want to get a real job. Changed my mind on that immediately. And then I went to play in Germany for 3 years, Italy 2 years, Turkey 1 year, and France the last 4 years.
Very cool. That's a good mix of different cultures and regions. And so I played 7 years in Italy, then I played a number of years in Turkey, And then I played in Poland, and then I played my final professional season in Russia. And so I also had like a good mix of cultures.
Yeah, Russia, that must have been intense.
And I
I feel like that'd
played
be
in
one place
Siberia
that
too,
is so difficult.
which
Yeah, you have
made
to
it even
travel
more
like across the
intense.
country. So intense.
Yeah,
Italy was your
pretty
favorite
crazy.
place, surely.
People ask me all the time, where's your favorite place to play? And I'm like, they all kind of had, you can probably relate to this. They all kind of had their pluses and minuses. I mean, from a
Yeah.
lifestyle standpoint, Italy's tough to beat because it's a nice place to live. The food is good and the volleyball's good. So you mix all that together and there's a lot there. But, I had a great time living in Istanbul. It's a beautiful city. And then just the overall passion that the Polish people have around volleyball. So to play there was just super cool and fun. And then just Russia was Russia, but the volleyball was so good.
Russia was Russia. What else can you say?
It's a tough place to live. I mean, nobody's going to tell you differently. It's a tough place to live, but from a volleyball standpoint, the volleyball was really good because the Russian league it's probably considered the best league in the world right now, just because they pay people the most you so then they get a lot of the best players.
Can get the best.
Mm-hmm. And then also just the
Do
Russians
they have a foreigner
have just
rule?
you can only have two. So but the thing about it is the talent pool in Russia is just so crazy. Like there's all of these really good players that you've never heard of, and they're just beasts. And I'm assuming it's the same for the women too.
And it's I don't know if this is a stereotype or just in my head, but it seems like Russian players tend to just stay in Russia and play there because they pay so well, because they can be close to their family, because they're speaking their language, blah, blah, blah. Same in Italy. There's no real reason. There's no draw to leave if you're playing in a country where you have all the things in place to be comfortable. Like, why would you go out of your comfort zone? So yeah, there's probably tons of players that none of us have heard of unless we follow the Russian league.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about the Volley Bubble, the YouTube channel, the podcast. Like, why did you first start it? And what are you finding out as you're going through this pretty interesting journey?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny. Like that's the reason that we're on this podcast, because I have been trying to find more. I guess the first instinct was, as I was a player, and I thought, what resources are out there for other players that are coming up in the game? If I'm a young volleyball player, let's say in the States, and I want to know what it's like playing pro, where can I find that information? And I kind of looked around and I was like, no one's really making this public. It's it once you're in it and once you've experienced it, and but no one's really putting their hand up and saying, I'll be the resource, come to me if you have questions. So I don't know, I kind of thought, let's do it. Let's try and start a YouTube channel where you talk about volleyball, on specifically professional volleyball, and what it's like and how to get here and what you'll experience. And yeah, that's where the idea of this road trip came from, which seems crazy in 2020 and COVID. I know. But
bad timing, but maybe good timing. I don't know. I guess we'll see when it all pans out.
Yeah. It's a little bit of both, because it's good timing in that I have this time free, and it's interesting to people, like, what is sports like in 2020? What does volleyball really look like? Because there were so many questions, in March of last year when everything just shut down.
Right.
So I think there's an audience that's curious about it, but at the same time, it does make it more difficult when I'm like crossing the border and the policemen are looking at me like, what are you doing here? Why aren't you locked down? Why aren't you in your home, like doing nothing like everyone else? So yeah, I've learned so much in so many respects, not just about professional volleyball, but about editing videos and traveling on your own. And it's been so fun. It's been so fun.
Where do you see the kind of the series, the journey going eventually? I mean, are you going to strictly stick to professional teams in Europe? Are you going to talk a little bit about what it might look like to transition to being a professional on the beach? Are you ever thinking of going to Asia and taking a look at some of those leagues? I mean, hopefully you've got
so many good ideas.
Grand ideas.
I should write these down. Yeah. Well, I kind of, and some people have also said to me like, oh, are you going to do men's players as well? And I kind of thought, that it's not really my knowledge base. For the moment, I want to stick to what I know. And there's so many hundreds of players that I could go to before I need to branch out into men's volleyball or beach volleyball. I feel like this is the experience that I had was being a female professional volleyball player. So for the moment, I just envision it staying to that sort of small circuit of people.
Right.
But I don't know where it could go. If it's interesting to people and if they follow along and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, I would like to see more about that, then I can keep it going. And hopefully the sky's the limit. My idea is just, like I said, I just want to make this life less of a mystery to people, because you and I can talk about it for hours, about all of the experiences and all of the things that we've seen over the years of being a professional volleyball player. But
right.
if you were to talk to your uncle or your mom or even brother or sister or cousin back in the States, they really, I don't know that they could really wrap their head around what you do for 9 months, what it really looks like. So
yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
So based on the experiences you've had it yourself, but also that you're having with these players in all of these different leagues, can you encapsulate what you've learned yourself and coupled with the experiences you're having with these other players on what it's really like playing professional volleyball in Europe?
In one sentence.
Well, no, it doesn't need to be one sentence, but just
yeah. Well, it's funny because half the reason that I decided, I had some friend, I work with the guys from the CV a little bit, and they were like, you should play one more season and you should just do a documentary of yourself. And I was like, no one wants to see just me doing what I do every single day. And that was the reason why I wanted to bring it to other players and make them sort of the star of the show. And I'm just kind of facilitating, because there's every experience is so different. And this from playing in a different country every year, a different team every year. I would say the one thing in common is that I don't know, you kind of have to go into each season with an open mind, or with, you go in with your sort of I want to work hard. I want to be the best volleyball player I can be. I want to have a great experience. I want to make friends. I want to make memories. And just all of the girls that I've met so far are at different stages in their career. They're at different levels. They're at different, they're playing in different countries. Maybe they come from different backgrounds. And I don't know, one thing in common is just I was going to say they love volleyball, but that's not even the one thing in common, because sometimes people play volleyball where they don't necessarily love it. It's something that I would recommend highly to any young players that are thinking about going pro. I always am just do it, just try it. It's not for everyone. Some people do come here and they're one and done. Nope, I'm too far from my family. Nope, the time difference, the weird food, and not knowing the language, all of the things.
Right.
But for me, it's really shaped, I don't know, it's given me a confidence and a better outlook on the world and different cultures and different experiences that are available to us, and this sense of independence of living on my own. And that is a long-winded answer to your question, but I think, I guess that's the takeaway, is that I've got from every player. Almost every player has said just go and try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about and you can answer this for yourself or what you're hearing from other players too, but what are some of the things that are really hard about it? What are the biggest challenges for people that want to go through the experience, but they want to be prepared? Anything that any advice you'd offer there?
Ooh, advice. You make me sound wise. I think that going with an open mind is a really good start, because one of my first guests, her name's Michel White, she said, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is something I think is really good advice, because the hardships are going to be unexpected. There's the ones that maybe you already know, like, you're far from your family or your partner, or you're not speaking the language, or you're going to have long travel days, or the workouts are hard. Like, those are the ones you expect. Then there are going to be a whole bunch that you can't even expect before you come. Like, whether or not you fly to games or you take a bus, or whether things are delayed, or whether or not you have to buy your own lunch, or whether or not you'll have a roommate or a car, or there are like little things that will change from club to club that you can't necessarily put in your contract or know before you get there. But if you go in with this sort of like, I'm just expecting that I'm going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to be positive about the experience and just go with the flow, kind of, I think that's when you'll get the most out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that one. Is that a good one?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Leave that one
The
in.
ability to be adaptable is really important and flexible. Yeah. And look, things aren't going to be the same as you had just experienced in the US or wherever you're coming from, right? It's going to be different. So you got to figure out what works. You got to make it work for you, because whether you like it or not, you're going to be there for 5, 6, 7 months, and you got to make it work somehow. So yeah, I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah. That's what I would say.
Talk to me a little bit about your Olympic experience in London. What did that mean for you to be able to be participative in those Olympic Games? What were your and your team's expectations going into the games? Curious at your experience at the Olympic level.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's interesting talking to you as a 3-time Olympian and gold medalist, like, because normally, if I'm doing an interview like this, I'm usually, it's someone who's looking at me like, oh, wow, you achieved that. That's so cool. But in your, on the flip of the coin, somebody who's been there, done that, over and over and over, it's not very impressive. So
it's always impressive.
No, it was a lot of mixed emotions, I'd say, because on the one hand, we were putting in the work and the training and the desire to be successful and, making sacrifices. So I was really proud on that aspect of it. But on the flip side of the coin, obviously, GB was given a host spot. So in a lot of people's eyes, like, we weren't really a threat to anyone. Let's be, put it that way. Right. So it was mixed emotions, because I felt proud to be there and really excited and emotional about the whole thing, because it is the pinnacle of sport. But then on the other side, there was always that sort of like, maybe it was even just in my own head, that sort of like, oh, but you don't even really deserve to be here. Like, you're not even really that good. Like, don't hold yourself too high, which is something I'm always working on the court, as this sort of like imposter syndrome. Yeah. But it was, over as a whole, it was definitely a positive experience. And I think anyone in that situation, if they were given the opportunity to go, even if it wasn't through the traditional, battle it out to get that spot route, I don't think anyone would turn down the opportunity to go, just to be among the best of the best, the best athletes in the world in all different sports. Right. Was, yeah, a really like sort of like goosebumpy experience, which I am so grateful for. And really, I think it, probably helped boost my career in some ways. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out there and get the Olympic rings tattooed because of those emotions that I just said. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did you guys, what did the training process look like for your team beforehand? Like, were you able to be participative in bigger preparatory tournaments? I mean, were you able to play in World Champs, World Cup, any of the bigger tournaments? Or was it just kind of like, well, we've qualified, so let's just get together, try to train hard, and then go do what we can do? My gosh, you'd be really well off speaking to our coach about this, because I think it was really difficult trying to find people that would that would compete against us, because like you said, we weren't going to those big tournaments and getting that kind of experience. We were sort of like looking for countries that we could go to travel to and play and get high level competition that we couldn't get, obviously, in England or in GB or in UK.
Yeah.
But I think she had a tough time finding competition. We just had to make it up. It wasn't official tournaments that we were qualified for or entering. It was just, we're kind of just traveling around trying to play as much as we could so that we could get the highest level competition.
Yeah. That's hard. And then, because if you really don't know what that looks like, that high level competition, going through something like a world championships, which a lot of people don't know, is just an absolute grueling grind, because you're just, it's bang, bang, bang matches, then you're traveling matches, and you're just, and if you lose a match to a team that you're not supposed to lose to, it messes up where you end up. And it's just like mentally and physically, it's exhausting, where that's obviously kind of like what the Olympics is as well. If you want to do well, it's, it's a match day off for 2 weeks straight. And every single match is super important because it dictates where you are in the seeding. And then you move over into the medal round. And it's really pressure packed. And if you're not emotionally, physically, and mentally aware of how to go through that grind the right way, I could just see it really being tough. Oh, you're back.
Hello.
I think you're back.
Sorry, I lost you there for a minute. Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I don't know. Did you hear everything I said, or did it cut?
Up to the bit about how it's grueling, day on, day off, day on, day off.
Right. Yeah. And if you've never gone through something like that, it's hard to prepare for something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kind of wanted to know, like, was there a sense on the team that the expectation was we're just going to go and do as well as we can, and whatever happens? Was that pretty much the expectation?
I think it's probably what was said and what was thought might have been two different things. But if you know our coach, she's very, I don't know what the right word is. Competitive might be the word, but so she was, her mentality
she
was,
had
look,
ideas
we're the
of
underdog.
grandeur for you guys.
Well,
that you're going to shock the world.
Maybe we're gonna get them. I don't know if she had ideas of grandeur, but she wanted to instill in us a sense of anything is possible. And there's no reason for us to go in with our heads down or our tails between our legs. Like,
good.
Once you get on the court, it's 0-0 until 25 points are scored 3 times in a row. There's, yeah, of course we weren't going in there like, we're going to win the gold medal, but we did she instilled in us this sense of there's no reason that you can't take a set and then take another set and then take a match. And then obviously once you get out there and you've got to do it, it's a whole different situation. But I think any athlete that goes out to compete and doesn't intend to win, then is probably, even if you know that you don't have a snowball's chance in hell, like, what are you competing for if you're not there to win? Yeah, exactly. So it might be a little, that's a little bit of that psychology as well. I mean, if you're the underdog and you have nothing to lose, you can be really scrappy and really aggressive, and totally. You can put the other team a little bit on their heels because they're the ones that have something to lose.
Right.
And it just takes one off day for something to happen, Yeah,
totally. I'm just curious. I don't know why, I'm just curious, but like, so when you're in the tournament and you're playing against the best in the world, did you all feel surprised at how high the level really was? And that I remember my first Olympics, we were ranked 5th in the world.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So we were pretty good, but we played very poorly in my first Olympics. And I looked at the level that we were playing at and the level of the team that won the gold. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is unsurmountable. How far of a gap this is. Like, we would have to put in decades of work in order to close the gap even a little bit. And so that part of it was a little disheartening when you guys are in the games and you're seeing the level and what it takes to get to the gold medal standard. Were you thinking, wow, like that's quite a gap between where we're playing right now?
Well, I think it was it went unsaid because like it was just known that there would be a huge gap in level. So I was almost more shocked when we were scoring points, when we were going like neck to
Interesting.
like, for example, I think my first match was against Russia, and we didn't take a set. But I think we were kind of like the first couple of, it's been a long time, but I think the first set we were kind of like neck and neck with them, and then they pulled away at the end. And I remember
Right.
like I was a little bit more shocked that we could even, I think we, maybe like you said, like I said earlier, when you go out there without anything holding you back as far as expectations on your shoulders, right, or pressure or anything, you can be really, really free, and you can kind of, maybe surprise some teams, even if it's only for the first half of the set, or you know what I mean?
That's cool.
It was obviously the level was awesome, and it was so cool to play against some girls that I had been, I had sort of like stars in my eyes, like, oh my gosh, there's Valentina Argetti, there's Gamava. Oh, okay, cool. Because other girls, and then once I go to Italy, for example, I'm then playing side by side with these girls. So then the stardust kind of falls off a little bit, but I hadn't been at that level yet where I had been on the court, whether it be on the same side or against this level of caliber of players. So that was really, really cool.
Huh, that's cool. Okay, so if you've seen the show, we do kind of like a get to know you rapid fire question session. So I want to switch to that now. Get your thoughts on all this stuff. So,
all righty, bring it on. I'm ready.
I want you to identify, based on your experience, playing around the world, playing with a number of different women from all different countries and things like that. I want you to name your all-time team, and everybody's at their peak. They're all at their peak level of play.
Oh, yeah.
So who do you put on? Who's your starting seven?
Okay, let's go. I knew this question was coming, but I didn't. I should have prepared better for it, because I'm in the boat. What did Haley Washington call herself? She's a volleyball idiot or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I like don't watch that much volleyball.
That's all she was.
By the way, her episode was hilarious. That
I'm sure you've played with and against some really good players. So.
And I want to pick him out of a hat. Okay, I will go with
start with your outsides. Who are your outsides?
Okay, outside. Let's go with Jordan Larson. That's probably a boring one. That's a name that comes up all the time. But I remember playing Yes, I've got it. And she just like sliced it right around. What the heck? Yeah. Okay. Amazing player. So outside Jordan and
Oh, I lost you. Ooh. You got booted. Wait a second. Let's see if Key will sign back in. She said she was worried about her internet, so hopefully she'll be able to log back in. How's everybody doing?
Are we back?
You're back.
Success.
Man, you got booted. You got everything.
I got booted. I know. I don't know what happened there. I tried to log in, log out, do all the tricks, you know. What's that
Wow.
South Park episode where they're like, the internet's not working, and the guy just goes and unplugs it and plugs it back in?
That's funny.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Like the whole world is
okay.
like,
So you picked your number one was Jordan, and then you talked, and then that's when it all went haywire. So you talked about some experience you had. That's why you were picking her, but I didn't pick up on any of that. So.
Oh yeah, no, I just said that when I played against her in Turkey, that I remember going up for a block and thinking like, yeah, I'm perfectly lined up. I've got her. Drop my inside hand, and she just like sliced it right around me. I was like,
she's a good pick. That's it.
hello.
This is fun.
I know. Sorry.
You're gonna have to talk faster.
I'm hotspotting off my phone, so I think maybe that'll. I don't know. That'll work.
It already looks and sounds better. So.
Does it? It's much better, huh? Okay, good. As long as I'm not robot-y.
That was pretty funny. Okay, who's your outside number two then?
So Kim Hill, I would put with her, and nice. I love Kim Hill because she used to be a middle, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Love that.
She's good. Okay. She's good. I'm gonna get her on the show. I think she would be interesting to talk to.
Yeah, get her on.
Okay, who are your middles? And you can be very inclusive and put yourself in there. So
I am not putting myself in there. This is Dream Team. I would put Milena Rasic from Bank. She's Serbian, and I think with her I would put Christina Kirikella. She's Italian. Tall. No. What do we got? What else? Opposite.
Right side?
It's Boskovic for sure.
Yeah.
And then setter.
This is a tough one.
Yeah. I kind of want a tall setter, but I prefer playing with tall setter. Well, I'm not on this team, so it doesn't really matter.
I do too. Yeah. I prefer tall setters too. So.
Yeah, because it comes out faster from the connection that isn't so.
That's why it was so nice playing with Loy for so long, because he was just so good at setting quick. It was easy.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime a setter just makes you look good, like that's the one I want on my team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with. I think the tall setter, but no, I'm gonna go with Asha Volosh. She and I played together in Busto in Italy. She's a Polish setter, the short one with blonde hair.
Yeah, she's good.
And then for libero, I'm going to choose Giulia Leonardi, who also I played with in Italy. She's not in the national team. I think she was a few times, but she's incredible. She's so bouncy, you know.
That's what you like in a libero.
Just good and like bouncy. Every photo of her is like, here's the floor, and she's just like flying above it, just like levitating over the floor. I'm just like, how is that even possible? So yeah, she's one of those. I mean, most liberos are the kind of players that don't give up on any ball, but she's
right.
Yeah, she's pretty incredible.
That's a good team. There's no right answer. I tell people there's no right answer. It's
opinion,
there's
right?
been a lot of really good players, so you could pick from many players. So
I know, and I don't know why we're so self-conscious about it, because it's not as if anyone's gonna like write into the podcast
it's like we're
and be like, your opinion is wrong.
Yeah, I know. I heard you on the podcast and you didn't put me in there. It's like that hasn't happened yet, and it's not going to happen. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, what's something that a lot of people don't know about you? Maybe even some of your friends. Do you have any? I mean,
there's a lot of things that most people don't know about me because I'm not famous, like most of your guests on this show.
Yeah, but I'm talking like even like if family members or your friends listen to this, they're like, hey, like I didn't know that about you.
Okay, well, one thing that I obviously my mom knows and my sister knows. When I was younger, because I was so tall, I had to learn to sew because I had to make my own pants.
No way.
Like I couldn't go to the shop like all the other cool kids were wearing their Abercrombie, whatever. We had to wear khakis in high school, but I couldn't buy off the shelf. I just couldn't get them long enough because, back in the day, they weren't skinny jeans where it
Right.
doesn't matter now because it can be a few inches,
Or
above the
even
ankle.
stretchy, which they have now.
Yeah, there was, none of that.
Right.
So, my pants would just stop. Like, they were always like ankle biters, So I just was like, Mom, let's go buy ourselves some patterns and learn to sew. She already knew how to sew, so she just taught me. But yeah.
So do you still sew, or was that just a high school, junior high thing?
mean, I'm sure I could. It's not really a passion of mine. I don't really carry my sewing machine around with me from team to team. No, so I haven't sewed anything that I can remember in a long time. Also, because now there are things available. I mean, there are stores online that are specifically for tall women. It's not so niche anymore to be tall. So
it's cool.
I can just buy stuff for.
That's a good one.
Or just buy one pair of pants. I'm a little bit minimalist these days, so I don't need like 7 different pairs of pants. I have like one that fits. I'm like, that's the one. I'm keeping it for 3 years. I'm wearing it every day. I have like one pair of Lululemon leggings that I literally have worn pretty much like 6 out of 7 days a week for the last 2 years.
Welcome to quarantine and 2020, where everybody is wearing pretty much the same thing every day, and it's very comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna guess that you're wearing sweatpants right now.
I am wearing sweatpants.
Okay, good. Me too.
But there's a company I found called Vuori, which I really like. I don't know if you've ever heard of Vuori, but they're a local California company, and they just make really comfortable clothes. And so that's nice. That's what I like wearing. So
comfy clothes. I'm in. I'm all about that.
I'm all for it too. What's the trait you most dislike about yourself?
The most annoying trait to myself is how indecisive I am. I'm really bad at making decisions. And especially if a group of us will get together, if you're going out to dinner and you're like a group of friends and everyone's like, where do you want to go to dinner? And you're like, I don't know. Where do you want to go? I don't know. And it takes you like 20 minutes to pick a place because everyone's so flexible. I'm like that. But I also do that on things like, for example, booking these Airbnbs. I will literally spend an hour on the app. Like, that one's like €5 cheaper.
It's a good app.
Like a little bit closer.
It's a good app, actually.
The app is great. It's so
good. It's really well done.
But I can't come to conclusions quickly. I can't just make a decision. I always have to rationalize and look at all of the options, see everything that's out there, and then feel like I've made an educated decision. I'm never just off the cuff. And I wish I were a little bit more, I'm very good with the flow, but I have to know the flow.
Are you one of those people that when you do finally make the decision, that right afterwards you tend to regret it? Like, maybe I should have picked the other one. Or when you make the decision, you're good with it and you move on.
No, I think I'm more like, okay, good. Now I've made the decision, because I rationalized in my head how much time I've wasted. I'm like conscious of how much time I've wasted. I'm like, I'm not wasting another second on this thought. I've made the decision. It's done. And now move on to umming and ahhing about something else.
Okay, so I'm curious. So what's the trait that you most dislike in others? What really bugs you?
In others, I probably, if people are snobby, I guess that's the way to describe it. I really am. I like friendship. I like people. I like just like meeting new people and being like, we're best friends now. Whereas if people are a little bit cold and standoffish and or judgmental or just rude for no reason, like that kind of thing, I'm very, I don't know. I get turned off by people who think they're cooler than the rest of the world, because we're all just a bunch of dorks. No, none of us know what we're doing.
I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, there's no such thing as cool. Like, that was high school. Grow up,
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have you had any near-death experiences?
Not that I can remember.
Nothing?
I the only one that I know of, which I don't even remember because I was too young. My mom said that when I must have been like 2 or something like that, before I could swim. And she thought that my dad was watching me, and she turns around and she's like, "Oh, where's Kira?" And he's like, "I don't know. She was just there and now she's not." So it turns out I had walked down to the end of the garden where we had a pool, but it was kind of like, it was wintertime, so the pool wasn't totally full and it was a little bit slippery at the bottom. Apparently I had gone and I wanted to go swimming. I don't know. And like by the time Mom realized where I was like kind of like drowning, I guess, like
Wow.
in the pool. And she obviously just like jumped in and grabbed me, and everything was fine. I didn't die.
Yeah.
Still
Luckily.
here.
Hi.
Yeah, so I don't remember it, but she tells this story, and I think
Yeah.
that's the closest I've ever
Yeah.
come.
I mean, that counts. You should keep
Does
that
it?
one in your back pocket. Oh yeah. Near
Yeah.
drown? That counts.
Near drowning experience, guys. It was traumatic. Don't remember it at all.
If you never got into volleyball, what would you be doing right now?
That is a good one. I thought I wanted to be a vet for the longest time. I love animals. I love cats and dogs, really all animals, but those are the ones that kind of come to mind first. And I was convinced I wanted to be a vet. I was going to vet school, I was gonna, and then it turns out A, chemistry is really hard.
Yeah.
And B,
Biology is really hard.
yes, all of the prerequisites that you need for any kind of science degree were just way
Right.
over my head. And then also I don't like blood, and I couldn't imagine
geez.
actually going through with surgeries or having to, and because it turns out vets really only interact with sick and dying animals, so turns out no.
You thought being a vet was like you're gonna bring in, you're gonna cuddle with the kittens and the puppies, and you're gonna be in a basket with all of them, and they're all gonna be jumping on you.
That's my dream. That's literally my dream. But that's actually, so when I was in high school, I used to volunteer at the Humane Society, and sometimes they would just be like, yeah, the cats just need some attention, just go cuddle them. I'm like, yes, thank you. So that's probably what I'd do. I'd go work in the Humane Society and cuddle cats all day.
That's cool. That's where I got my
I don't know if it's the most lucrative career out there, but
no.
It's one of those things, like people always say, like if you could do anything, if money wasn't an option or a concern, what would your day look like? And honestly, I think it would look like how it looks now. Wake up when I want, do these videos and these podcasts and this traveling and these meeting new people like this. Like I feel like I'm living it right now. I'm loving this.
That's cool.
So maybe if I wasn't playing volleyball, I'd just be doing this. Maybe.
Dream vacation. Money's no object. Where do you go?
Yeah. Ooh. I think somewhere warm. I'm not very good with cold. I've been trying to work out here, and every day I look out and it's like snowing outside. I'm like, I'm gonna do an indoor workout. I'm just gonna skip the run today. Yeah, anywhere warm with good people, good food, good wine, any kind of drink, and a puppy, probably.
And a puppy.
Anywhere there's a puppy, a Labrador puppy.
That'd
be my dream vacation, just a room full of Labrador puppies.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I'd want to stay there with all, they get it. Someone has to come in and clean up after them.
I did say money is no object. So.
It's no object. Just give me all the Labrador puppies.
So South Pacific, Central America, like Costa Rica, or the Caribbean, or yes, please to all of those.
All of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably all of them. I used to live in Australia, so I probably would go back to Australia for a little bit as well, because I loved it there.
Australia is amazing.
Yeah. I feel like there's still so many unseen places around there I could get to.
Okay. Last meal on Earth. What are you, and it's your last meal. What are you going to have? What's your go-to?
Well, I'm vegetarian, so I don't know if I would,
Would you lose it all and just be like, you know what? How long you been a vegetarian?
Big fat burger. I've been vegetarian for like 3 years now.
Oh, okay. So it hasn't been.
It hasn't been lifelong. But going back to what I said about being obsessed with animals, that's kind of where the inkling for going vegetarian came from. So it's not necessarily about the meat. Yes, it is the environment and healthy for my body, et cetera, but it's mainly the, I don't know, I envision this animal cruelty situation that I try not to, partake in. So it's not that I don't crave burgers. I don't crave like a big fat steak or anything. I just, because I don't see that anymore. I look at it and I see, the images of all these Netflix documentaries that I've watched.
Did you watch Game Changers?
I think I did.
About the MMA fighter that tore his knee, and then he went vegan to try to accelerate his recovery, and then he found that just how amazing going plant-based was,
And then he
don't know if I've
learned all
actually
this stuff about environmental concerns and
Yeah.
everything that happens and CO2 emissions and everything. Anyways, it was really interesting. I mean, it's a thought provoker for sure.
Yeah, there's so many there's Cowspiracy as well, or Fed Up. Like I actually, the way I started was I wanted to just eat a little bit healthier and like less processed foods.
Yeah.
You know, and the more you go down this rabbit hole of documentaries, you can then I kind of like went further and further, and I went all the way to vegan, and I was like, I don't know if cheese counts as animal cruelty, so I like took it a step back.
I'm sure our vegan listeners will give us plenty of reasons why that's not the case. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, at the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror, and I feel good. I feel good with my decision.
That's good. Okay, so what's your meal then? There's no
judgment.
Well,
shoot, we didn't even get back there. So there's this one recipe by Jamie Oliver for vegetarian lasagna, which basically instead of the meat, you put all kinds of different vegetables. There's like eggplant in there. There's
tofu.
Peppers, I don't think there's tofu in there. I don't really like tofu.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
No, I don't eat a lot of tofu.
I actually got turned on to it. I'm like, tofu is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Maybe you have to know how to prepare it. That's probably, I'm just a horrible chef, because I see it, you see it on the shelf and it's just this like kind of shaky, like
kind of wiggles like Jello.
Yeah, like wiggles like some kind of cardboard in juice. I'm like, oh.
As long as you can season it and cook it, if it needs to be cooked the right way, it's actually pretty good. So, but
if you have any good recipes, send them my way.
Vegetarian lasagna, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. We made it once, and it takes like literally like 3 to 4 hours to make, because you got to prepare each vegetable separately, because each has its own. You got to roast these things, and you got to saute these things, and you got to add. I'm no chef, but that one time, amazing.
All right. Name a movie where you teared up, or the last movie or TV show, because I know a lot of people aren't watching a lot of movies right now. So
okay, yeah, TV show, that's better, because I literally, when the quarantine hit and everyone was like Netflix and chill, I was like, if I turn on Netflix now, I will not turn it off for 3 months. So I basically just like made a promise to myself that I wouldn't watch Netflix, and so the only thing I've watched since then is that what's his name, Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah, The Last Dance.
But I didn't cry in that. That's not my answer, but that is the only thing I've watched since lockdown. I would say, have you seen This Is Us?
Oh yeah. That one.
That's a good one.
You. That'll get you.
Oh my gosh.
There's also another show, and I think I've said it on here before, but there's a show on Netflix called Afterlife with Ricky Gervais. I don't know if you know Ricky Gervais.
I do. He's hilarious. Yeah. Is that the one where his wife passes away?
Yeah.
And then
it's like her filming and telling him how he needs to like live.
Right.
It's like a weird mix of hilariously funny and devastatingly sad. But that only like someone like Ricky Gervais could do, right?
Pull it off, yeah.
And so, anyways, if you want like a really good laugh, but also a really good cry, you should check it out. Afterlife on Netflix, really good.
I think I saw it's a few episodes, isn't it? I think I might have seen.
I think it's like
first two.
It's probably towards the end of season 2, maybe the start of season 3-ish right now. So.
Okay, then I haven't caught up. I'll have to jump back in. He's hilarious. I love everything he does. I as soon as I saw The Office, I'm not sure which I saw first, the American or the British, but I think he's amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, last question, then I'll let you go here.
No, got all the time.
I know you love photography, right? You like taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one thing you're just dying to photograph at some point in your life, and what and where is that?
Oh, that is a good question.
I'm full of them.
Just keep rolling them out. You're like boom, boom, boom. I have to be honest, I stole a couple of your questions for one of my podcasts the other day. I gave you credit. Yeah, I feel like I pull a little bit from, I listen to a lot of podcasts these days, and I always
me too.
Thinking while I'm listening, like, oh, that'd be good for my show.
Yeah. That's it. That's how I got these questions. I got them from another show that I like. So not these specific ones, but like a kind of a Q&A portion of the
idea of having Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many good podcasts to listen to these days.
There really are.
Do you listen to the Ground Up Show with Matt Diavella?
No.
Oh, I love it.
That's a good one.
He's the filmmaker that made Minimalism.
Okay.
basically because I'm doing this, I'm diving into this photography and filmmaking thing. I'm learning a lot from him about building, I guess a business. I don't know if you call it a business, but building something from nothing, basically, from the ground up. Yeah. So the question was photography. What do I want to photograph?
Yeah, one thing you're just dying to photograph at some point in your life. What is that? Where is it?
I prefer to photograph people, and it sort of has been, or animals. I like to photograph my friends and then have something to give them that they can then, display on wherever their social medias or their, maybe print it out and put it in their room. I don't know about that, but I'm not really like a landscape photographer necessarily. So that is a great question. There's not one thing. I could maybe say like one person, if I could choose like a person to photograph. So many good ones. Maybe like Michelle Obama. I think she'd be really cool one to sit down with and like chat with her and then snap a pic.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, right? Being a portrait photographer for celebrities.
Super cool.
My brain is always ticking over about like, what can you, now that your knees are starting to give out, your back's starting to give out, like,
welcome
if you're
to
not
getting
gonna be
old.
playing.
I'm way ahead of you too. So
I know, I'm so curious about that because like, what do you do? We kind of get pigeonholed, and not pigeonholed, we choose it to be a volleyball player for however many years. You do it and you build a career and you build. And then there's just like that moment where you stop and then you just kind of like start from ground zero again in your next career, unless you want to be a coach, an agent, or a manager.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so,
I mean, that's how it was for me too, my journey. Maybe that's another show that we can get into. The post life and what that looks like. So we should do that. I'll make a note of that and we'll get you back on and we can talk about it.
Absolutely. I'm curious to pick your brain because it's a struggle fest. It's a struggle fest for me. Yeah.
All right, Key, you made it. We worked through technical difficulties. We worked through time zone difficulties. But I appreciate
no problems, just solutions.
Yeah, no, seriously. I appreciate you taking time. This was awesome. It's good to get to know you and keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. Keep grinding it out.
Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I know you have some really awesome people on your show. So I was like really humbled and honored when you said, "Hey, what would you want to be on?" But I was a fan of your show before any of this happened. So to all the listeners out there, keep listening. It's a good one.
Appreciate that. All right. Take care of yourself. Good luck with your newest episodes and journeys. And
Thank you.
We'll be following. And
anyone check out the Volley Bubble. We're going. We're doing it.
Volley
we're getting
Bubble,
all the interviews.
YouTube, podcast, the whole thing. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
All righty. Take care.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.